The solar eclipse is almost here. Most people won't notice it. They'll go through the day as if nothing is happening. But the fact is, this eclipse is already affecting you. What most people don't realize is this. Not everyone is meant to understand these shifts, but you are. That's why you're here. Because this eclipse carries 7 hidden changes, 7 turning points that can reshape your path. Some will resist them, some will miss them. But if you pay attention, you'll be ready. And here's the part no one talks about before this eclipse. There's one crucial thing you must do. So stay with me, like this vibe, subscribe, and type the number 777 in the comments below if you are ready for this. A solar eclipse is never just about the sun and moon crossing paths. It's a meeting of light and shadow, a moment when the outer world and the inner world collide. Symbolically, the sun represents clarity, purpose, and identity, while the moon reflects hidden emotions and the subconscious. That's why people feel unsettled before an eclipse. Mood swings, strange dreams, sudden insights that vanish just as quickly. It's the universe shaking what's stuck, asking you to pay attention. And the reason this matters because eclipses don't bring slow change. They bring turning points. What normally takes months can shift in a single moment. The first shift before this eclipse is about endings. The energy carries a sharpness like invisible scissors cutting the ties that keep life tangled and heavy. Old jobs, stagnant relationships, or habits that drain the spirit begin to feel impossible to ignore. Holding on can feel safe, but it often keeps life smaller than it is meant to be. The eclipse energy clears away what weighs the heart down, demanding space for what is meant to grow. Endings are rarely gentle. They stir unease and resistance because they take away the comfort of the familiar. Yet once the release begins, a sense of relief follows. The way a cluttered room suddenly breathes after being cleared. This shift is not loss. It is freedom. It is the silent invitation to walk lighter, stronger, and ready for what belongs. The second shift is about clarity. Eclipses are cosmic mirrors, pulling away illusions and exposing the patterns that no longer fit. Behaviors, relationships, and choices that once seemed unshakable begin to reveal cracks. It feels as though the fog lifts and what was hidden stands in plain view. This clarity is not here to wound. It arrives to protect. It arrives like a mirror, wiped clean, showing what has been there all along but blurred by denial and distraction. Once seen, it cannot be unseen. This shift demands honesty with the self, a recognition that truth, even when uncomfortable, is the foundation for every transformation to come. The third shift is about alignment. After endings and clarity, the road forward begins to glow with quiet guidance. Alignment is not perfection. It is the natural rhythm of being in step with the deeper self. When alignment takes hold, life feels lighter. Conversations, opportunities, and even challenges begin to connect, carrying the sensation that events are falling into place. Alignment also reveals itself in the smallest details. A renewed desire to care for the body, a pull toward nature, the sudden urge to dedicate time to passions once ignored. These impulses are signals, not accidents. The September 20th eclipse amplifies them, drawing attention to the places where soul and choice meet. This is the ground where true power grows, the doorway to a new chapter that waits with open hands. The fourth shift emerging before the eclipse is all about relationships, both personal and professional. Connections that once felt steady may begin to reveal a different layer, as if the energy is pulling back curtains and showing who truly belongs in your story. Some bonds strengthen during this time, becoming more authentic and supportive. Others begin to thin out, not because of blame, but because the path forward requires space. Relationships are mirrors, and under the eclipse energy, those mirrors become sharper. Instead of glossing over old patterns, there is an undeniable awareness of how exchanges either lift you or weigh you down. What makes this shift powerful is its ability to reshape how people interact. Conversations may turn more direct, revealing truths that had been quietly sitting in the background. It is not about unnecessary conflict, but about clarity and communication. During this period, partnerships that once survived on surface agreements may start to crack, while those grounded in honesty and trust become more resilient. Think of it, as an invisible tuning fork passing through every relationship. Only those vibrating in harmony with your path will resonate, while the rest may naturally drift away. The eclipse influence doesn't aim to strip relationships from you, but to guide alignment. Sometimes that means recognizing the deep value in someone's presence. Sometimes it means acknowledging that a connection has reached its limit. It can feel like standing at a crossroads with certain people, one path continuing together, the other parting ways. The gift in this shift is the opportunity to choose, consciously to value the relationships that support growth, while gently stepping back from those that no longer match the rhythm of your life. The fifth shift is centered on inner resilience. The eclipse magnifies not only what surrounds you but what rises from within. During this phase, challenges that once drained your drive begin to show their purpose. The energy does not arrive to make life harder, but to build a stronger foundation within you. Imagine the way a tree strengthens its roots. When the wind grows wild, each obstacle becomes a quiet teacher shaping endurance and adaptability. This is the eclipse asking you to see strength not as a rigid wall, but as the ability to bend and continue moving forward. Resilience here is about more than endurance. It's about adaptability. This shift highlights where rigidity has kept you stuck and encourages you to evolve instead of resist. Old coping habits may no longer work, pushing you to discover new ways of handling challenges. This is not weakness, it is transformation. It is the reminder that your capacity to adapt is far greater than you give yourself credit for. The September 20th eclipse highlights this truth, pressing you to trust the parts of yourself that thrive under change instead of shrinking from it. When this resilience awakens, there is a quiet confidence that begins to take hold. You start to realize that the struggles of the past were never setbacks, but stepping stones training you for this very moment. The eclipse amplifies that recognition. Every difficulty becomes fuel. Every misstep becomes knowledge, and every challenge reveals another layer of strength you didn't know you carried. It is not about toughness for the sake of pride. It is about meeting life with a steady core that cannot be easily shaken. The sixth shift is about direction. The eclipse energy often pushes people to confront the trajectory of their lives, shining light on where they are heading compared to where they truly want to go. Sometimes this realization arrives suddenly, like stepping into a room you didn't realize was in your own house. You may begin to sense new opportunities calling to you, ones that were always there but overlooked in the noise of routine. This shift is a reminder that every journey can be recalibrated, that the map in your hand is not permanent ink, but something you can redraw. Direction under this eclipse is not about abandoning everything overnight, but about recognizing the adjustments that bring life into better alignment. For some, it might mean pursuing a different career path. For others, shifting priorities in family or personal goals. The momentum of September 20th has the effect of turning small realizations into pivotal choices. The important part of this shift is not the speed, but the awareness. Once you see where you are truly heading, you cannot ignore it. The eclipse energy makes that awareness sharp, impossible to deny, and ripe for change. When embraced, this shift creates momentum that feels like a tide carrying you toward your next chapter. Projects gain traction, new directions begin to open, and opportunities that once seemed unreachable start to feel closer. The guidance here is to trust the flow rather than resist it. The eclipse does not remove choice. It illuminates choice. It presents a mirror to your current path and a lantern toward the one that waits ahead. With that illumination, you are given the rare chance to choose consciously, to step with intention instead of habit, and to claim the life that has been calling quietly all along. The seventh shift unfolds as renewal. After the eclipse, energy clears away old ties, exposes truth, strengthens resilience, and redirects the path forward. What emerges is an invitation to step into a refreshed version of yourself. Renewal is not a single moment. It is a gradual unveiling of parts of you that have long been waiting for air and space. It is the quiet spark that rises when the noise of distractions begins to fade, like the way the ground seems barren in winter, but hides the first signs of spring underneath. Renewal begins subtly. Then suddenly you realize new habits, new desires, and new ways of being are weaving themselves into your daily life. September 20th opens this renewal by amplifying self-recognition. Many people spend years searching for external validation, waiting for signs or approval from others to confirm they are moving in the right direction. The eclipse shifts that attention inward. Renewal comes when you no longer rely solely on outside confirmation, but begin trusting your own rhythm. This means embracing choices that may look unconventional to others, yet feel undeniably right for you. It means owning your narrative, no longer living through borrowed expectations. Renewal doesn't demand that you become someone else. It reminds you that who you already are has always been enough, waiting for you to step into that truth. This seventh shift carries the energy of momentum. Once you embrace renewal, opportunities align more naturally, not because the world has changed overnight, but because your perception has expanded. Projects that once seemed intimidating now feel approachable. Relationships that honor your growth begin to deepen, while those that no longer resonate gently fade into the background. Renewal breathes clarity into the smallest details, transforming the ordinary into proof of progress. It is not about perfection. It is about presence, about choosing to live each day from a place of alignment instead of hesitation. The eclipse crowns all the previous shifts with this final gift, the chance to begin again, not from scratch but from wisdom earned. When renewal begins, life often moves in unexpected directions. Paths that once seemed out of reach start to appear more clearly, as though the fog is finally lifting from a long hidden road. The eclipse stirs these moments of surprise, not to overwhelm, but to remind you that possibility is always closer than it appears. Even in the most ordinary routines, a spark of change waits. Sometimes it arrives as a conversation that lingers in the mind, or an idea that refuses to fade. Other times it comes as an opportunity so subtle it could be missed if you were distracted. These are the openings that emerge when you step into alignment, carrying the energy of September 20th forward. Renewal is also about reclaiming time. In a world that constantly demands urgency, the eclipse invites a slower recognition of what truly matters. The days no longer need to be consumed by tasks that drain or obligations that lead nowhere. This new space allows priorities to shift toward what nourishes rather than what depletes. It is in these quieter choices that transformation roots itself, choosing rest over endless striving, depth over surface-level connections, and authenticity over appearance. Renewal grows stronger with each of these decisions, reminding you that the direction of your life is shaped not only by dramatic turning points, but also by the subtle daily choices that stack together to create your future. There is a beauty in watching renewal unfold in ways you could not predict. The person you become is not always who you once imagined, and that is the point. The eclipse energy carries a reminder that identity is not fixed. It is a living, breathing process that expands with every season of your life. Renewal means giving yourself permission to evolve, to outgrow old versions of yourself without apology, and to embrace change as a sign of growth rather than loss. This isn't about chasing reinvention for the sake of novelty. It's about honoring the truth that life was never meant to remain still. The energy around this time also strengthens connection to purpose. Renewal clears away distractions, leaving the core of what drives you standing tall. Purpose does not always shout. Often it whispers in the background, waiting for quiet moments to be heard. After the eclipse, those whispers grow louder. You may notice your priority shifting toward what gives you meaning, rather than what simply fills your schedule. Work, relationships, and personal goals begin to feel different, not because they change overnight, but because you begin meeting them from a deeper place of awareness. Purpose emerges as a compass pointing not only toward achievement, but toward fulfillment. As renewal continues, gratitude becomes a natural companion. The journey through endings, clarity, resilience, and direction softens into appreciation for the lessons learned along the way. Gratitude is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It is about recognizing the strength that came from each step. It is the quiet realization that even the hardest chapters carried gifts that shaped you. Gratitude turns renewal into something sustainable, anchoring it in the present moment rather than making it a fleeting burst of inspiration. This closing energy is not about rushing ahead but about embracing the moment as it is. September 20th marks a turning point, but the real power lies in how you carry its energy forward into the weeks and months that follow. Renewal is a continuous unfolding, a reminder that every day holds a chance to live with greater clarity, stronger alignment, and deeper presence. The eclipse opens the door, but you are the one who chooses to walk through it, carrying the lessons, the strength, and the vision of a life more true to who you are becoming. The moments leading up to change rarely announce themselves with clarity. They move like quiet undercurrents, almost invisible until the tide suddenly turns. The eclipse has been stirring these undercurrents, amplifying what has been waiting in the background of your life. Now that undercurrent is beginning to surface not as chaos but as a chance to redirect the story you are living. What happens now is not about cosmic events floating in the distance. It's about you standing at the center of your own unfolding. When transformation gathers momentum, it can feel like stepping into uncharted territory. Familiar surroundings start to look different. Familiar conversations begin to sound unfamiliar. And routines you once carried without question suddenly feel too small. This is not random. It is the unmistakable call to rise into a life that matches the truth you've quietly known all along. In times like these, every hesitation begins to weigh heavier. Every compromise feels sharper, and every old excuse loses its power. It is the kind of inner turning point that cannot be postponed without cost. Think about how many times you convinced yourself that waiting was safer, that postponing was easier, that settling was more practical. Each delay may have carried you through the day, but it never moved you closer to the life you wanted. That's what makes this moment different. The eclipse does not wait, and neither should you. Its rhythm pushes forward, asking you to decide whether you will carry the same stories into tomorrow, or finally step into a narrative where you no longer shrink yourself for the comfort of others. Change has a way of demanding courage at the exact moment it seems easiest to hide. It whispers through opportunities you almost ignore, through invitations you almost decline, through paths you almost overlook. And yet every time you almost walk away, you know a part of you would never forgive the silence. This is why you are standing at a crossroads that matters more than you realize. The choice you make here is not between safety and risk. It is between expansion and stagnation, between honoring who you are becoming or betraying it for another season. The eclipse acts as a mirror, not reflecting the surface you show the world, but the deeper currents you cannot escape. What you see in that mirror might not be comfortable. You might notice the decisions avoided, the opportunities declined, the truths pushed aside, but you also see the strength you've built in quiet resilience, the wisdom that comes from experience, and the resilience that proves you are more prepared for change than you admit. The mirror does not judge. It simply reveals. And what it reveals now is potential waiting to be claimed. This is not about chasing perfection or pretending to have it all figured out. Transformation is rarely neat. It arrives with uncertainty, with unpredictability, with moments where the path feels unclear. But beneath the surface of uncertainty is the unshakable clarity that staying the same is no longer an option. That realization is more powerful than any fear of what lies ahead. Because once you accept that the past no longer holds what you need, the only way forward is into the unknown. The beauty of this turning point lies in its ability to unlock strength you didn't know you had. Think back on moments when you thought you wouldn't move past certain chapters, yet somehow you did. Each time you pushed forward, you built a foundation strong enough to carry you into this season. That foundation is still with you. It is proof that you are not starting from nothing. You are stepping forward with years of lessons, scars that turned into wisdom and resilience that cannot be taken from you. And yet this is not a call to rely on the past. This is about recognizing that your life is waiting to be shaped by the choices you make next. Every conversation, every boundary, every new direction is a brushstroke on the canvas of what is to come. What matters most now is the intention behind those brushstrokes. Will you paint from a place of hesitation, or from the courage that honors the truth you've carried all along? For many, the hardest part of change is not the external shift, but the internal release. Letting go of the familiar roles, the familiar routines, and the familiar versions of yourself requires trust in what cannot yet be seen. But holding on too tightly to what no longer belongs does not preserve security. It suffocates growth. Renewal cannot enter a life already crowded with outdated commitments and exhausted energy. This is why the eclipse acts as a clearing. It is not punishing. It is offering space. Space for what inspires you. Space for what aligns with who you are becoming. Space for the opportunities that have been waiting for you to make room. This moment is not small. It carries the weight of everything that has been building and the lightness of everything that is possible. It is the intersection of endings and beginnings where the line between what has been and what could be is drawn. Choosing to step across that line requires courage, but it also carries a reward. The discovery that life expands in proportion to the risks you are willing to take. Do not underestimate the quiet power of small intentional acts during this season. Grand gestures may catch attention, but it is the daily choices that decide your direction. Choosing to speak when silence is easier. Choosing to walk away from what no longer grows with you. Choosing to pursue what sparks curiosity even when others cannot understand. These decisions may not look monumental in the moment, but over time they carve out an entirely new reality. It's important to recognize that transformation is not only personal, it ripples outward. As you step into alignment, the people around you begin to shift as well. Some will rise with you, inspired by the courage you show. Others may step back, uncomfortable with the reflection of their own hesitation. Neither response is yours to control. Your task is not to carry others into change, but to embody it fully yourself. The ones meant to walk alongside you will recognize the rhythm of your growth and match it with their own. The eclipse amplifies this truth. Growth is contagious. Courage spreads. Authenticity inspires. Every choice to live in alignment signals permission for others to do the same. This is why your turning point matters beyond your own story. The turning point you stand in now is not fleeting. Its energy does not fade with the passing of the eclipse. It imprints itself into the choices you make from this moment forward. When challenges arise, you will carry the memory of this season as a reminder that you once chose courage over comfort. That memory becomes fuel, helping you continue to expand even when circumstances test your resolve. So as this chapter unfolds, let your story be one of presence, courage, and forward motion. Let it be proof that transformation is not something reserved for rare moments, but a continual process that unfolds as you honor each step. The eclipse marks the threshold, but you decide how far you walk beyond it. You are not waiting for destiny to hand you permission. You are writing destiny with every choice you make from here. And here lies the challenge. Not the passive kind that waits for inspiration, but the active challenge that asks you to rise now, to cut ties with hesitation, to release the weight of outdated roles, to step fully into the life you know you are meant to create. This is your moment to choose expansion over repetition, alignment over compromise, courage over silence. The eclipse opened the door. The turning point is yours to claim. Courage is rarely comfortable, yet it carries a beauty that comfort can never match. To choose growth is to accept that not everyone will understand, not everyone will support, and not every step will feel certain. And still, it is the only choice that brings you closer to a life that feels fully your own. The eclipse reminds you that comfort is temporary, but transformation endures. What you decide now does not fade with the passing of a single day. It sets the trajectory for everything that follows. Think of this moment as an invitation to redefine success on your own terms. No more chasing standards that leave you empty. No more silencing instincts that have been guiding you quietly for years. Success is not about comparison. It is about congruence. It is about the alignment between who you are inside and how you move through the world outside. When those two finally meet, life begins to expand in directions you never thought possible. The turning point you face is not about sudden leaps alone. It is about steady conviction. It is about showing up differently, speaking differently, choosing differently. Every small act of alignment adds weight to your transformation, until one day you look back and realize the eclipse was not just an event. It was the threshold where you chose to rise, and now that choice is waiting for you again here in this exact moment. September 20th does not pass quietly. It marks a moment where hidden currents rise into view, where inner truths demand recognition, and where life calls for renewal. What has been stirred by the eclipse is not temporary. It is a turning point designed to guide you toward a stronger, more aligned path. The themes running through this time are clear: transformation, resilience, and awakening. Each shift is a reminder that the past cannot hold you, that clarity is closer than you imagined, and that stepping forward with courage creates momentum that no hesitation can erase. Moments like these are not about waiting for certainty. They are about daring to live in alignment with the deeper truths already within you. The eclipse does not simply cross the sky. It crosses into your daily life, reminding you of the power already present. Now it's your turn. Share what speaks to you most in the comments. Reflect on what this season has already awakened, and declare the path you are choosing. Subscribe if you are ready for more guidance, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. The journey does not end here. The next message is on its way, carrying even more insight for what unfolds after the